Thank you, guys. Thank you, Ben. Well, it's true. I actually have quite a big international background. And when I left the embassy of Nicaragua, first of all, guys, raise your hands. How many of you know where this country is? Okay. Oh my God. Almost all of you. That's nice. So when I left the embassy of Nicaragua, I was a little bit sorry to leave all this diplomatic world. And now my job is to travel the world and to speak to other international developers about the Russian market. So almost nothing has changed. So I still kind of into diplomacy. And today I will speak to you about the Russian market. And the reason I will speak to you about the whole market is that basically our company is very big in Russia. That's why we know a lot about games, we know a lot about marketing, we know a lot about social networks, and we really want to share this data with you for you not to be afraid to enter the Russian market with your games. So a little bit about our company. The company is called Mailru Group, and basically it owns 90% of the whole Russian market. And it owns largest social networks, including Vk.com and OK.ru. Please, guys, raise your hands. How many of you know what Vk.com is? Okay, I'm impressed. Yeah, like 30%. In this audience, 30% means a lot, right? So we have Vk.com and we have another social network which is called OK.ru. And we also own emailing service, which is like Russian version of Gmail. And the interesting part about our company is that it's not just the biggest internet company in Russia, but it's literally the biggest company. It's like 27 floors skyscraper with its own, wait a minute, football field and a skating rink, which we like, the football field, which we convert into the skating rink in winter. So it's really fun place to work with, and if you are our partner, it's really fun place to do business with us. So today, you will learn a lot about the Russian market. You will learn some basics like Russian market and some reasons to be there. You will understand a bit about the behavior of the gaming audience in Russia and what do actually Russian gamers expect in the game. And also, you will learn some secrets to succeed. And I guess if you enter the Russian market, you need to know tips and tricks how to make your games successful there, right? First of all, please, guys, I want to know how many of you are actually from gaming companies, from publishers. Okay, like 50%. And how many of you are from marketing, CPI networks, agencies? Another 50%. Okay, great. That's a nice mix. So let's go, Russian market. There are actually 3 things that you need to know about the market. So first of all is that this market is really huge. It's number 5 market by the number of app installs, and you can get up to 62 million mobile users there. So it's a lot of audience, and these people will love your game, because when you look at a penny top revenue statistics, you will see that 99% are international gaming publishers. And most of them are RPG games, casual games, and some strategy games. I will speak about genres a bit later. The second thing that you need to know about Russia is that this market is actually much, much less competitive than other markets. It has CPM, which is 5 times less than in the United States or in some European countries. So that means that it's going to be much cheaper for you to promote in Russia than in other countries. And the third thing that you need to know is that, surprisingly, the Russian market is very easy to enter. To localize from English to Russian is like 3 times cheaper than to localize from English to any other language. It's the first thing. And also, when you decide to do marketing in Russia, you just need to know one partner, and that's us. So, and this partner will introduce you to everyone in the country and will help you with marketing and will help you also with localization partners. So, another thing that you need to understand is that this market is actually a very good market for games, because gaming is number 1 category by downloads and it's number 2 category by retention in Russia. Guess what's the number 1 category by retention in Russia? Raise your hands if you know it. I will give present to you for that. What is it? No, sorry. It's social networks. So social network is definitely number 1 category by retention because people spend over 45 minutes in each social network in Russia. And you need to know that. The next thing is about the Russian gamer. So you probably wonder, are they really different from other gamers, or are they the same that gamers in the United States? And basically, Russian gamers are very similar in terms that they really want the game to have very good graphics. They really want the game not to wait a lot, not to kill the battery. They love it when the game is based on some plot or on some like famous novel or some famous story. The only big difference probably is that Russian gamers, they need Russian translation. So please translate your game, and I will speak about it later because that's one of the most important topics. The next thing, I love it. I love this part of the presentation. So we do have our gaming department, and we also have our analytics department. And we made a research about what Russian gamers expect in the game and what do they like the game for. And we divided these gamers into 4 big groups. So the first groups were people who were looking for immersion with the game. They really liked to dive into the game, to feel part of it. And these people, mostly, they enjoyed RPG games and strategy games. And they just loved it when the game is based on some favorite plot or novel. And one of the most important things for them in the game were interesting character and interesting plot. The second big group were actually people who were looking for control. And these guys, they really wanted to set up the game for themselves. They liked to pass mission by mission, controlling everything what's going on. And the interesting thing is that most of these guys, most of these people were men, and they mostly had some high executive positions. The third big group were people who were looking for process. So they really didn't care what game to play, but most of all they enjoyed to play casual games, some kind of match 3 or puzzle games. And most of them were women, and they played a lot casual games. And the last big group were actually people who were looking for achievement. So these people, for them, the main thing was to complete the mission, to get something in the game, to win something. And most of them, they played some slots. So that's good news for you. They played some slots, or they played some casino games or some racing game. The ones where you can actually feel that you won something. And now, well, once you know the history about the gaming behavior audience in Russia, you probably need to know some success tips. So first of all, you should analyze the market share. One of the biggest mistakes any international company can do in the Russian market is to do all the same that they do everywhere else. So you need to remember that global companies, which have huge share globally, like Facebook and Google, they have very, very small share in Russia. And when you enter the Russian market, you need to know with local ones. Speaking about the global companies, it's not that they are blocked in Russia, like in China. Facebook is not blocked in Russia. It's just that people prefer to use local social networks. It's their choice. So if you want to reach massive audience and if you really want to have lots of users in Russia, then you need to work with local social networks such as VK and OK. The second thing is about localization. Is it? Yeah. So you need to localize your app because only 7% of Russian people speak English. And it feels like all of these people are here at this conference. So if you need to reach more than 7%, then please localize your game. Because when you go to the Russian market, you probably think about scale also. You think about reaching the huge audience of this huge country. Then it makes sense to localize it, and that's absolutely not expensive. The third thing that you need to know is, well, actually this slide is also very useful because in the same time, localization is relevant for some genres and it's not that relevant for another ones. For example, if you have some casual game, some kind of puzzle, then sometimes you don't really need to localize it because people will still get it. But if you have some strategy game or some RPG game with a huge cultural background there, then you just have to localize it because otherwise people will not just get how to make payments there. And you need it. Another thing that you need to know is about the operation system. So please don't ignore Android audience. Android is 3 times bigger than iOS in Russia. So it means that if you really want to attract a big audience, then you have to also to publish your game in Google Play, not just in Apple Store. And the fourth advice that I will give you is about marketing. Please, guys, raise your hands. How many of you work with Facebook ads platform? Okay, like 30%. So we have very similar thing to Facebook ads. We have our own social networks and we have our own platform to reach audience from these social networks. So basically, it works the same way that Facebook. You can also create campaigns there. You can also upload banners. You can also choose all the targeting options, and it's all the same that Facebook ads. And it allows you to reach 10 times bigger audience than Facebook has in Russia. And thanks to this platform, which is called My Target, we know all the information about the marketing. And that's why we can tell you about the relevant CPI in Russia. The normal CPI for games is around $1. It varies. For example, if it's RPG game and if it's strategy game, it may be around 1.5 or 2. If it's casual game, it may be around 1 or even cheaper. So when you come to the Russian market and when you do marketing there, don't overpay, know the real prices. And now, actually my favorite part. So we did a case study with one of our marketing partners, Zorka Mobi. And that's a very interesting case study of the RPG game which did promotion in Russia and which entered the Russian market. So you can see the results here. And you can see that for RPG game, they have quite good CPI, is around $1, when the average is around 1.5 or 2. So they did it even better than the average. And these guys, they experimented a lot. They did lots of banners. They experimented with lots of targeting options. And now you have a chance to guess which banner worked best for them. So I call this game the CTR battle. So you need to guess if it's first banner or if it's the second banner which attracted more audience, which was more attractive for Russian people. Please, guys, raise your hands if you think that first banner was the best one. Okay. like 50, God, it's hard, it's 50%, like 60%. And raise your hands if you think it's the second banner. Okay, well, it's almost the same. So basically, it was the second banner which attracted more audience. And it's easy to explain why. Because in the real situation, people were just attracted by bright colors. Because when this game was promoted in Russia, it was very, very bad weather. Everything was gray and depressive around. And that's why people didn't want to click on anything that was gray. And you needed to show them some yellow and red and some green colors, so they were more engaged in this case. Another explanation is that this banner actually has some kind of Russian flower there. It's a typical Russian sunflower, and Russian people like it, so they also liked to click on it for that reason. So we are almost done, and I want you to remember all of the things that I told you for these 20 minutes. So first of all, what you can get in the Russian market and the reasons to come to the Russian market. First of all, you can get lots of gamers for your games, because Russia has over 62 million mobile users, which are just waiting for your games. The second thing is that this country has much less competition than United States or China, for example, and in this case, it's just easier for you to enter the market. It's also easy to enter the market just because it's very cheap to localize. Then it's cheaper to localize to Russian than to other languages. And because you need to know just one partner to get all the audience in Russia, and that's Mailru. And the other thing is that thanks to social networks, you can target the audience very specifically. You can really target gamers, you can target paying audience, and so on. And the last thing is that monetization is super simple in Russia. People also use in-app purchases. So, publishers use in-app purchases, and you can also monetize your games with ads. And we can also help with that because we have our own monetization platform, just like Facebook. I do have much more information about the markets, and I would love to share it with you, but I just don't have time. I'm so sorry. So please come to me after this presentation, and I will be just happy to talk to you and to exchange cards and to talk about the market for your games. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Irina.
Thank you.